Okay. I'm finally getting back into the swing of things. I'm gonna add like a baseball sound effect there as well, like like the bat connecting with the ball, just for the fucking meme. God damn it. So what's new? What's going on? What's up with you guys? How's life? And okay, that's fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that. I, on the other hand, as I mentioned in my last video, which I may point out has been, I believe, 3 or 4 days apart at this point. I'm very sorry. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, and I think I've hit my stride finally from the start of this video. No promises, though, because I'm a bad habit follower, that's for sure. I should also mention, don't pay attention to the gameplay in the background because I am trash at this game and Jay put on all the items. So fuck you, Jay. As I mentioned in the last video, I did go on a trip to Cuba. Very, like, briefly in that clusterfuck of info regarding Tilted being destroyed and then not destroyed and then, sorry, spoilers, it's back. Neo Tilted, by the way. But anyway, when that happened, I was on a trip to Cuba. And that was actually, believe it or not, my first ever vacation from YouTube. Now you may be thinking, Smitty, you go to conventions, you go on trips and whatnot. True, but those are business trips. Those have to do with, networking my business and meeting up with friends or colleagues, even you could consider them that, in these places that hold these conventions, like Boston for PAX or LA for E3 and all sorts of things. This was my first official break from YouTube in terms of, like, not worrying about uploading or anything like that. And also my first time in a tropical place. I had never been anywhere like that. Obviously, as I just said, it's my first official vacation. Not even just from YouTube, but in general. I've never been to a place like that in my life. Before I go any further, I'd like to quickly thank my girlfriend and her lovely family for inviting me on this trip. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I'm glad you guys convinced me to expand my horizon in traveling, and I definitely plan on doing more. I could confidently say that, so thank you to them real quick. But man, how can I describe Cuba? Well, first of all, it's not a cube. First thing, when I flew in, I was a bit upset about that. Second thing that upset me was people actually clapped when the plane landed. I was shocked, and I just wanted to fly back immediately at that point. Even if that meant I would have to hear them clap when the plane landed back home, I wanted to get out of there at that point. I'm like, are these the people that are coming to this place? God damn it, I have to spend a whole week with them? Granted, okay, that my girlfriend's family, nor my girlfriend, they did not clap, so they're okay with me, all right? I understand wanting to give appreciation to the pilot. They fully understand that you are appreciative of landing them safely without clapping. They can't even hear you. I can't imagine that they can. They're probably too focused on surviving the actual landing. I didn't believe that was a real thing, because I had never heard something like that before. I've heard of it. I've heard it was a thing, but I didn't believe it. It's one of those things that, like, you don't believe it until you see it and hear it for yourself kind of thing in that situation. So when it happened, my eyes widened. I was so shocked at the fact that people actually clapped when the plane landed. Like I said, I totally get it. People are superstitious and stuff, but I have enough faith into pilots, and I believe that they know that I truly appreciate the work they're doing, and I appreciate getting me there safely and whatnot. All jokes aside, I had never seen anything more blue than those oceans while flying in. It's breathtaking, it really is. If you haven't been, oh god, I'm starting to sound like one of those people, huh? Shit, I've been to one tropical place, remotely tropical, and all of a sudden I'm that guy, I don't want to be that guy, but it is beautiful, I have to admit. And as long as you can get through, the idea of Cuba not being a cube, again, super disappointing. People clapping when the plane landing, it's breathtaking. The views, the whole idea of it, I totally get it now. Before the trip, I could confidently say I was not a fan of, like, the ocean, I'm still not a fan of the ocean, I just want to clarify that. But, like, the water and the sun, I get what people like in this thing. Like, I was totally relaxed during the entire week, it was fun. Other than a nasty sunburn on the third day, the rest of it, it was fine. I toughed my way through it, obviously limited to some extent, but, I powered through it, and I stayed out of the sun when necessary. And the reason I got the sunburn, this is what sucks, is because since I'm not used to this whole, like, tropical sort of vacation thing, certain things that I don't really think about on a basis, like I'm not really an expert of it, they tend to slip my mind. So when it comes to sunscreen, especially next to the pool when you're in and out of it all the time, I was in and out of it about 4 or 5 times, so each time I got out, I would try to remember to apply it, but there are about 2 or 3 times where I didn't remember to apply it when I look back at it. So that really messed up my shoulders and I got a bad burn on my forehead. I'm all good now though. It was actually like really bad. I don't want to get into detail because I don't want to get too like, you know, about it. But like I said, if you could get past that, like, you know, all the stupid gripes I have with the place, it's very beautiful and I would totally go again. And I would even go to, you know, another place like what other tropical, I don't know, somewhere else, the Maldives or something like that, I don't know, or Mexico, I don't know, somewhere with beaches, you know, little resort or like little tiny private resort, something like that. You know, I'd love that. I'd love to go again. One thing I will say about this, I want to rant here for a little bit about the food, okay? Granted, going into it, I wasn't expecting the best because I was warned by my girlfriend's family and my girlfriend that they're experts at this. They like to travel a lot, so they've been to a lot of these places, and they told me that the food isn't the best. But I like to think the reason for that is because the food that they serve there, they try to really Americanize it and, you know, to please the mass of people that are going there. It makes sense, right? It makes sense to do it, but I want to try some authentic stuff, and Matt Blarg, my buddy, you guys might know him, he wants to go back, and we're all going to go, I think, at one point, and we're going to go somewhere near Havana so we could go into the city at some points and really check out, like, true Cuba, you know what I mean? While still staying on a resort, but within shuttle distance of the actual city, because I want to try some, like, authentic food. That's one thing I love about traveling, even though I haven't been, like, anywhere too ridiculous. Food is like my favorite thing, okay? And I'm sure a lot of you can relate here, okay? When you get the chance to try something authentic, you have to take it. Like there's no way you miss out on an opportunity like that, at least in my mind. So I feel like some of the resorts should offer that, you know, availability of actually making like more authentic cuisine to like their culture and whatnot. I would love that. I'd love to try some of the stuff that they eat on a regular basis or even just in general. I mean, other than that, other than the food, the sunburn was really the only worst part. I'm pretty much joking about clapping when the plane lands. That still shocked me, but I'm not like up mad at it because I totally get it. Those are really the only things that really upset me about this trip, or didn't really upset me, I guess. More just like I have to lower my expectations. When I originally accepted to go on this trip with my girlfriend's family, I originally had the thought of like literally only like relaxing by poolside or a beach, you know, on the beach next to the water, just in one of those loungers the whole time. And that's what majority of it was, especially after my sunburn. Because obviously being in the shade, you know, underneath one of those umbrellas was obviously better for me at the time because every time the sun was on my shoulders or even through clothing, it would sting. Like it was that bad. I toughed it out though, like I said, okay? I'm a big tough guy, all right? But before that entire mess, all right, I had a very positive experience and luckily they convinced me to, like I said, expand my horizons. Okay, let me not say that. They didn't convince me. My girlfriend's mother, as lovely as she is, forced excursions upon me, okay? And I don't regret it, all right? It was a great experience, and thank you very much if you're listening. Basically, excursions, if you don't know, are like things they offer within the resort or whatever, and, you know, you go do certain activities and whatnot that are planned throughout the day. So we did this thing called the all-in-one tour, which basically you do everything that, you know, they separate all in, like, little segments throughout the day. It takes an entire day to do it. So, of course, when I first had heard that, I'm like, oh, God, well, this is gonna be a long day. Didn't feel as long as I thought. You know, it was a good time. Time flies when you're having fun, right? And I could totally see where that came into play there. Now, I don't remember the exact chronological order of exactly how these events took place, but I believe the first thing we did in the morning was, I shit you not, swam with dolphins. Okay, I know you're thinking, Smitty, what the fuck are you doing in the ocean with dolphins? You hate the ocean, all right? But dolphins are cool, especially trained ones, all right? And even wildlife ones, I imagine, are pretty fucking cool dudes, all right? These ones were, of course, trained, so, you know, you got to swim with them and be in the pool with them, hold their fins and, like, pet them and whatnot. Really surreal experience for me being someone who doesn't like the ocean at all. I don't mind the wildlife, per se, unless it's, like, deadly. I mind, like, the unknown and not being able to see what's underneath my feet, you know what I mean? In a really deep part. That's what's unsettling to me. Just anything threatening in that regard is not for me, okay? So that was dope as shit. I have to admit, that was probably one of my favorite things of the trip. That was so surreal to me. But after the dolphins, I believe we headed somewhere for lunch because at that point it was about maybe 11 or 12 local time. Had a pretty authentic lunch there. This is where like the real food of Cuba sort of came in. Sort of still resort based, but it felt a lot more like authentic, I guess. And I could be speaking out my ass here because, you know, I obviously it's my first time there and you know, it's my first time eating off of the resort. So, you know, what I may be getting may not be, you know, what I think it is, but it was still good regardless. It was probably one of the best meals I had on the trip. Then I believe we headed into the city of Moran, which is near the resort I was staying at in Keokoko. That's where I stayed. I should have mentioned that in the beginning. That's basically like a string, or it's one island, I believe, that's all dedicated to like resorts and whatnot. Like there's no locals or anything like that. It's just literally resort. That's literally what it is. But anyway, we headed into the city and we got to explore that a bit. And that's the one thing that I kind of didn't like. I enjoyed the city part. I love seeing the actual architecture. It was great for me. I love seeing that. I didn't like the group aspect of it. Like, that's why I would like to go back with Matt, like, Blarg. I don't know if I should call him Matt or Blarg, but regardless. And be like a group of 4 people checking out the city rather than an entire tourist group. Because there were moments where tour guide person would cross the road and, you know, there isn't really stop signs there or anything like that. It's kind of just a free-for-all for traffic and, like, people go when it's safe and whatnot, and then the whole group started to cross, and I kind of got forced into that group, and then I felt like an asshole, right? Because I was one of those guys that was just crossing the road with whether it was safe or not, and the cars had to stop for us, which they're probably okay with in some regard, but I just didn't feel. I hate that whole tourist. I don't like looking like the tourists, you know what I mean? So being in a big group wasn't a huge thing for me, especially in like a city part where the locals are. I wasn't a huge fan of that. I felt kind of bad. I don't know if it's like tourist guilt or something like that. I don't know what to call it. But regardless, my second favorite part of the day would probably come to the catamaran, which is essentially just a boat, and then you go on it, and then they bring you to like reefs, and then you can go scuba diving and stuff like that. And I remember thinking, Smitty, again with the ocean thing, why is that your favorite thing out of everything that day? Well, let me tell you, okay? Because 1, I didn't go in the water, all right? At least not that day, okay? And 2, free booze, all right? Free booze on a boat. Fantastic, absolutely beautiful, wonderful time. And that was, I believe, that day. I think that wrapped up right there. And then I think it was the next day I got my sunburn, and then I was kind of out of commission. And then somewhere down the line, you know, after all that, we just kind of hung out. And then there was another excursion that they signed us up for, which was another catamaran, but it was an all-day thing. Unfortunately, my sunburn got the better of me here, and I was a bit nauseous when the boat was like rocking back and forth. I don't usually get seasick, but obviously, with the sunburn, that is one of the unfortunate side effects of it. But I will say right now that I did muster up the courage to actually go in the water and scuba dive, even if it was just on the surface, just to be in the ocean and, you know, take that step and see, you know, we were right on a reef and everything. Really surreal, again, to be like that close to, you know, just wildlife, absolutely teeming with life, which is cool as shit. We also stopped at a sandbar in the ocean in like the middle of nowhere, which is really cool. Oh, shit! I almost forgot. The captain of the catamaran we were on the second day, on the second time we took the catamaran, the guy asked me if I wanted to drive the boat. And the only thing I could think of was Kodak Black saying, "Let me drive the boat." Leave it up to me to think of a meme like that in the middle of a beautiful place like the ocean. Like, I'm such an idiot. I did drive the boat, by the way. I'd never done that before. Well, I'd driven little dinghies before, and like little motor boats, little tiny ones, but I'd never taken control of a boat that big before, and I'm glad I got the experience too, because it was pretty cool. So that whole trip took the whole day, the whole catamaran thing, that was the entire day. I'm definitely skimming over a lot of detail, mainly because there isn't a lot. I mean, majority of it was literally me sitting poolside or beachside, you know, just hanging out, drinks. You don't want to know the rest. But I definitely love the experience, and I can't thank my girlfriend's family enough for giving me the opportunity to do this with them. Thank you so much if you're listening. It means a lot, and thank you for expanding my horizons in travel, because I definitely want to do more now when it comes to, you know, that kind of scene. This is definitely a one-off kind of video. I don't think I'm going to make more videos on it, unless I think of something else, and then maybe I'll stick it in another one. But this definitely was a cool experience, and I confidently say that. If anyone is curious about traveling to somewhere like that, I definitely recommend it. Again, I'm sounding like that person who travels somewhere once and then constantly talks about it. This is like losing my tropical virginity, all right? It's kind of a big deal. But I think that's gonna wrap this video up. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. If you did, make sure to leave a like. I'd very much appreciate it. If you are new to the channel and want to see more content, make sure you hit the subscribe button with the bell notification as well to see when I upload. I'd very much appreciate that as well. Not all my content is like this. This is definitely, like I said, a kind of one-off type of video. Although I do like doing story times here and there. I love you guys so much. Thank you for all the support on the videos recently. It means a lot to me. And yeah, I guess I'll see you whatever the next video is.